Well, good morning. Good morning. I think that we've made it this morning with any luck at all. We are expanding slightly and getting one or two experts who understand the technology of this type of broadcasting. So that these muck-ups that I make in the morning, I don't make anymore. I'm just too long in the tooth, and I go back to where a video, in fact it was filmed, was cut up by scissors and put together with Scotch tape before it went on television. But there we are, times change and we have to learn these new technologies, and I must say that generally speaking the advances have been enormous, so that the type of television that we now have and can do on the social media platforms is a tremendous step forward. It's just people such as myself take a little bit of time, because we didn't grow up with computers. We take a bit of time to find out how to do things properly. Nonetheless, we are trying, and we do try to bring Mirador Television from Lewes in East Sussex in the UK, not from Lewes in Delaware in the United States, although we welcome any viewers from there. This is the UK version of Lewes, and here we are in probably the noisiest place in the world at 6:15 in the morning, and that is Lewes High Street. You would think that you'd be deafened. It's integrated than earlier in the day. Every trades vehicle, including the council's garbage trucks, make a hell of a racket. Anyway, you saw that I put up, to start off with, the shackles on our hands, and the point of that is really that, one of the things that is very bothering is that citizens today are shackled. I opened up this morning to an email. Actually, it was more of a post from a good friend of mine, Mohammed Hamiti, in Kosovo. Mohammed was the Kosovo ambassador for 4 years to the Court of St. James, in other words, to the UK, and a very, very good ambassador he is. I have no idea whether that ambassador is any good anymore, because he's somebody who's disappeared behind the wall, and I don't blame him, because they are suffering from very poor governance. And Mohammed opined, what are we going to do to get good governance back in Kosovo? The problem is, of course, it's all over the world that we've got very poor governance at the moment. And that love him or hate him, dear old Boris said in a speech about 2 or 3 months ago now, is that we need a root and branch revision of the way that we govern. And when he said root and branch, he meant from Westminster down to local government. And I couldn't agree more. It's not working at the moment, and it's not working big time. And the civil servants get so blinkered that what they do is, if they make a mistake, is they triple the mistake in the hope that somehow it will come good. And the old saying was, if you don't want to get in deeper, stop digging the hole. And that's very much what government seems to be doing. Back from Mohammed and back from Boris to local government, once again, I'm going down to court again this morning of my own choice. The council has said to me, or a council official has said to me, you don't have to go, no, you're paid up, everything's all right, and so on. He admitted that he didn't know of one instance where anybody had gone into court. What they do is they summon you to court and they send down an official. Well, I want an explanation this morning as to why I'm even summoned this time, when my books are up to date, which he checked on the computer then and there. It's an iniquitous system, and it's got to stop. But there's nobody in the council that even cares. Now, the last time I was assigned a senior case officer, that was 3 or 4 months ago. Now, the council official that I spoke to yesterday, I know is an honourable young man. I know him, and he tried very hard to defend what the council does, and he did a pretty fair job of it. And I said to them, yeah, what they should do is they should appoint you the public relations director, because whoever does their PR at the moment does a lousy job. And as somebody who's done PR at a senior level, I know what I'm talking about. It's a lousy job. Anyway, off I trot back to court again this morning, because if I don't go, I have no guarantee that I'm not going to get a judgment from the magistrates against me, a blot on my character. And they don't seem to take that into account. So I'm going to go down, and a little man will come down from the council, and we'll talk it through again, and he'll say he'll do something, and they won't. And this young man yesterday said, look, I just looked at these dates, and the last date for the lady who is to handle your complaint, the senior case worker, has got until today, that was yesterday, to respond to you. Well, there's nothing in this morning. So, as usual, it's just the usual story. And if you saw, and we will keep replaying, Stephen Catlin's very powerful piece last week about how they've even managed not to do the necessary with the taxman, so that some employees and some councillors are suffering and being having money demanded off them, then I hope that you will take a look at it. The council continues to be in a mess. Now, that leads on to the fact that there's a council meeting next Monday, and the coalition, if we can call it that, of the Lib Dems, the Greens, the Labour and the Independents want to topple the minority Conservatives who at present hold power. The coalition couldn't get its act together when the first council meeting of the year came, so the Conservatives took over the role of leader and therefore cabinet. Another iniquitous system. I have emailed the leader of the Greens, who is nominally the leader of the coalition, and asked various questions about their position on cabinet, for which they were very vocal against. Their position on the merger with Eastbourne, their position on the efficiency of the council, and I would now add to that the question of whether, in fact, there shouldn't be, what Boris suggests, a root and branch review of how we are governed. It would mean that we would become locally perhaps an example to the rest of the country. Don't hold your breath. Oh, do not hold your breath. We're not that sort of daring council, which is a pity, because something needs to be done. Not only that, I think that we have throttled the economy of Lewes and District, and it's about time that we took a desperate and a separate look at that. Anyway, those are the things that I've come back from Dieppe with. And one thing I would say, just to highlight the differences between what's happening on the continent and what's happening here, is in Dieppe. We're quite a busy little town. Not one pothole. Not one. It's just, we can export our potholes if they wanted any. Squeeze more money out of the government. I'm afraid that efficiency has gone by the board. And one senior politician wrote in one of the newspapers yesterday, don't expect good governance of private enterprises that are run by the state. They are not very good at it. And how, privatization is a dirty word to a lot of people. And I understand what they're talking about, because we also have found that the private sector has taken advantage, so that everybody is getting lots of money out of everything now. The only person or group of people to suffer are the electors. So, as one friend of mine would say, there's the right and there's the left. And who's left in between? It's us. Well, I'm back. I got lots of other things really to say this morning, but you have to be careful. It's the road show with Boris and Jeremy trundles on. Pick up your paper this morning and find out what happened overnight. what happened yesterday, or who's called who what. That's called democracy, my friend, and it's about time that that sort of democracy was reviewed and that some sort of common sense was restored, not only here, but if those Remainers wish us to be part of the continent, to call for change as well. Talking about the trivia of whether we get this sort of tomato or we can do this sort of thing. The time is gone. We want root and branch change of governance all the way through. And after the trio of appointments in to the EU Council, I don't think we're going to get it very, very fast. And there is the noise pollution. So I leave you with the noise of Lewes High Street at 6 o'clock in the morning. Till then, Keith Hayes, Toodle Pip.